It is now early August 1812. Napoleon's army has pushed deep into Russian territory. The Russians adopted scorched earth policy, retreating while destroying villages, crops, and supplies to deny the French from any resources. The Grande army reduced to 200,000 men due to exhaustion, disease, and desertion. Barclay de Tolly and Bagration have retreated towards Smolensk. Napoleon focused on capturing Smolensk, aiming to draw the Russians into a decisive battle. Meanwhile, Tsar Alexander, influenced by Bagration's criticisms of Barclay's continued retreats, demanded a more aggressive stance, pressuring Barclay to abandon his cautious strategy. By mid-August, Barclay de Tolly cautiously prepared for battle, his army now around 130,000 men. Barclay moved toward Rudnya. Believing Napoleon's forces were concentrated there, he ordered Platov's Cossacks to attack the French cavalry corps. However, false reports of French movements to outflank his army forced Barclay to abandon the plan. Meanwhile, Napoleon seized the opportunity and launched a brilliant maneuver to outflank the Russians and cross the Dnieper River on August 14th. However, the Russian 27th Division put up fierce resistance near Krosly, delaying the French advance and giving Bagration time to reinforce Smolensk. By the time the French reached Smolensk, the opportunity for a decisive surprise attack was gone. As the Russian army began its retreat, the attack on Smolensk finally commenced 2 days later. Napoleon ordered a direct assault on the city's defenses. On August 16th, Napoleon launched a major assault with 3 corps and 200 artillery pieces. While initial successes set the city ablaze, the Russians refused to be drawn into open battle. Despite the Russians' bravery, the French and Polish forces breached the walls. On 17th of August, Barclay, fearing encirclement, ordered a retreat, and by evening of 18th of August the city was completely destroyed, just as the French forces entered. Napoleon, however, missed a crucial opportunity to trap the Russians. While Bagration's Second Army retreated first, Barclay's rearguard was caught by Ney's Third Corps at Valutino. Yet General Junit, leading the Westphalian Corps, tasked to block Barclay's retreat, but failed to take action, allowing the Russians to escape. The French army suffered 12,500 casualties, while the Russians 13,500, and although the city was destroyed, no decisive victory was achieved. With the Russian forces successfully regrouping, Napoleon paused to plan his next moves. Napoleon faced a critical choice: push on to Moscow or halt for the winter. Pressing forward promised a decisive victory against a disorganized enemy, but carried enormous risks with the campaign season nearly over. Halting at Smolensk would allow his army to recover, but it risked giving Russia time to regroup. Napoleon chose to gamble advance, leading 120,000 troops toward Moscow in late August. Meanwhile, Tsar Alexander also made a pivotal decision. The backlash against Barclay's cautious strategy became impossible to ignore. To restore morale and unify command, he appointed General Mikhail Kutuzov as commander-in-chief. Kutuzov had suffered a humiliating defeat by Napoleon at the Battle of Austerlitz 7 years earlier. However, in the Russo-Turkish War 1806–1812, Kutuzov achieved his greatest victory yet at the decisive Battle of the Danube, forcing the Ottomans to sign a peace treaty. Kutuzov shared Barclay's preference for delay, but recognized the need for a stand to rally the army and the nation. So in the west of Moscow, near Borodino, the Russians prepared for a decisive battle. A fateful day was approaching, one that would become the bloodiest of the Napoleonic Wars for Europe. Napoleon reached Borodino on September 5, but his advance was delayed at the Shevardino redoubt, a key position anchoring their left flank. That evening, Murat's cavalry engaged Konovnitsin's forces, driving them back toward the redoubt in fierce engagement. On September 6, Napoleon launched a full assault. Kompan's division of Devout's corps attacked from the front, while Prince Poniatowski's Polish forces struck from the south. French artillery bombarded the redoubt as waves of infantry surged forward. The Russians, under Gorchakov, mounted fierce counterattacks. After hours of brutal fighting, the redoubt changed hands several times. But finally, as night fell, the battered Russians withdrew, ceding the redoubt. The French victory cost them 4,000 casualties. While Russian losses reached 6,000, the Russians retreated to their main defensive line.